Faith, Freedom, Queen. Linda, how are you? Zippy, good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good morning. All right, let me just see if what else is up over here. See if we have Cloud Hub up. Hopefully. And YouTube, hopefully. And all the other platforms. Looks like we have Cloud Hub is up and running. Thankfully. All right, good. YouTube is up. Wonderful. Thank you for letting me know. Grateful Mike, good to see you. Hey, Rue, good morning. All right, we're going to go ahead and share this over to please in, please. Hey, Chicago Pops, good to see you. Donna, good to see you. Donna Crane, good to see you. We have a lot to talk about today. My goodness. It just gets crazier. Good morning. Hey, Ned, good to see you. More place. All right. Whoops, just dropped everything. There you go. Good morning, Michael. All right, let me just read a little bit from Psalm 91, and then we will get started. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in him I will trust. Surely he will deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. He shall cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. Amen. Hey, Gary, good morning. All right. Hey, E. Whitty, good to see you. Good to see everybody. Jim Morris, good to see you. Glad that Facebook is up and running. All right, so let's get started. Before I forget, I'll just mention this. With the holidays coming up, don't forget, if you need a stocking stuffer or just a little gift for somebody ages 4 years old to 11. This is my book, My Ears Are Not Like Yours, and you can find it at Amazon.com. It's a book that is, for all of you that have been with me for a while, you know, it's very encouraging for children, gives them a positive message, which a lot of times they're not seeing these days. So again, it's at Amazon.com. My Ears Are Not Like Yours. So I think your kids will enjoy it. The GDP, thank you, Robin says, wonderful book. Thank you. GDP grew by 33.1%. Good morning, Bonnie. How are you? Good morning. That is incredible. It's probably the largest, the best ever recovery. Hey, Solitary. Yeah, it's amazing. It said, but you know, one of the things that MSNBC did, hey, Daniel, is they can take anything and make it bad, no matter what it is. And they said that the GDP figures that camouflages the K-shaped nature of the recovery. Hey, Amanda, there is no K-shaped nature of the recovery. It's a V-shape, just as, V for victory. Hey, April, as Donald Trump said that it would be. But MSNBC can skew it any way at all. It's just amazing to watch the wordsmiths there. It's a super V. That's right, Twin. Unemployment claims fell by 40,000 to about 751,000, which is a great improvement. You're thinking about this, our country is not yet fully open back up. If you go, around the country, you'll see it's pretty much closed down in a lot of places still. A lot of mask wearing, people haven't returned to work, kids haven't returned to school in a lot of places. New York's keeping schools closed, on and on and on. And yet we have that kind of economic growth. Can you imagine if the liberals weren't trying to sabotage the country, what kind of work, what kind of numbers we could reach? It would be astronomical and absolutely amazing if they just got out of the way, which of course they don't want to do. All right. Some other breaking news. 3 more people were killed by knife attack in France today, 2 beheaded. And gosh, it took them a while to figure out that it was a terrorist attack, even though the guy was yelling Allahu Akbar and cutting off heads, But so now they're pretty sure that it might be a terrorist attack. One person is dead. There was, there were two attacks. I guess the other one, a Saudi citizen, wounded a guard in an attack at the French consulate. So I'm sure he was just, he probably had nothing to do with terrorism either. So, unfortunately, two people are dead from the hurricane Zeta made landfall in Louisiana. I guess it could have been a lot worse, but I saw pictures. People were on Facebook yesterday when the videos, and it looked pretty bad. Hey, Rocky, blew down fences, obviously killed some people. Not sure why when you're told there's going to be 110-mile-an-hour winds that you don't seek shelter. I and I don't live there, so I don't know what it's like. But I've been in wind gusts of 100 miles an hour and over, and you can't stand up, So I'm just not sure why people just don't, take shelter, stay there, and hunker down. But anyway, other news: the Wisconsin GOP party chairman says that hackers stole $2.3 million from accounts dedicated to the Trump reelection. So I don't know if they're going to check into that. It seems like wrongdoing kind of goes unchecked these days. Hey, Kia, how are you? Hello from New Zealand. Good to see you. Good morning, Sissy. Good to see you. And Loretta. My kid is on a ship in NOLA. Wasn't too bad. Took a little damage. Yeah, I think the ships are probably better. It depends on how big the ship is, of course. If it's a Navy ship, they go out to sea to avoid any type of hurricane like that. So, and they usually fare pretty well. But for the average person, they don't fare too well. Hey, Lee, good to see you. All right. The other thing is, it's been announced that, well, not on mainstream media anyway, that the Moderna is one of the front runners in the race to develop a vaccine for the new coronavirus, and said on Thursday it was preparing to launch an experimental vaccine. Oh boy. And had already received $1.1 billion in deposits for supply. The Cambridge, Massachusetts-based company has signed deals with the U.S. government and several other countries, and is now in talks with the World Health Organization. So I don't know about you, but that's not exciting news for me. And, we'll have to see. We'll get more pressure, I'm sure, coming along with the vaccine. Hey, Carol Williams, good morning. So, they're still looking at, we're looking at bio beads over here. I'm not even sure what bio beads are because they're not talking about them here, but I can only imagine. Mike called it the death vax. Yeah. And only a few billion. Yeah. Just a few billion, Wayne. It's not a big deal. Not a lot of money. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of pressure. The more that they have, the more money that's put into it, the more pressure is going to be put on you and me to take that vaccine. So there you go. In other news, you've probably already heard this, but Tucker Carlson, he and his producer were in Los Angeles going to be interviewing Bob Lewinsky, and he had asked that some documents that they had received in the New York office be sent to LA so that they could have those documents to use during the interview. And supposedly when those documents were sent by a carrier, a well-known carrier, he said, those documents, the contents of the boxes were opened. The boxes were open and the contents were missing. We're trailing COVID trace cards. Yeah, I'm not this. I don't know if you're for or against COVID, Kia, but we are. We know the numbers are skewed. We're against the vaccine for the most part. So this is not really a pro COVID scope. Anyway, now let me just tell you something. I don't know if taking of those documents were intentional or not. Against it's a smoke screen. Yep, true, Kia. I had sent out recently. Oh, good to know, twin. That Medusa, that Kia is definitely not pro COVID. I recently sent out some wreaths for people. One in in, well, two actually in California. This is recently, two in California and one in Tennessee. And I can tell you that each of the boxes were cut open, and they probably looked at it and saw that it was a wreath and decided, well, I don't need a wreath. And that's how it was delivered. I don't know who's doing that. My guess is there are employees within the company who are opening up boxes to see if they want to take the contents or not. Another lady that I spoke to that I don't know, when I had mentioned that that happened to me, said that her box was totally open. The contents were taken out of it and then it was taped back. So my point being, I don't know if those documents were stolen on purpose. I guess, good chance of it. But it could have been employees opening boxes to look to see if there was anything inside that they wanted to take. And that's a sad state of affairs that we are in these days, if that's what's happening. And maybe these people who, these carriers, should be, videotaping what's going on within their, at least within the warehouses. But once they leave the warehouse, you don't know what's going to happen. But I think that's, important to know. UPS or FedEx. The what I used was UPS, Mike, and who knows what happened to the ballots exactly. Did you see the Jason Whitlock interview with Beck yet? No, I didn't, Jim. So again, I hope they have copies of whatever those documents were, or that they sent copies and not the original documents. Tucker didn't say which it was, and it was probably intentional, in my opinion, why he didn't mention whether or not they still had the documents. Because he doesn't want the person who sent them and the person who stole them to know that they still have possession of the documents. Okay, so I don't know if you watched yesterday with, no, I can't say what I was thinking, with Jack Dorsey from Twitter, Zuckerberg from Facebook, and the guy from Google. I don't know if you watched the Congress talking to them. But Jack Dorsey, let's see, how do I say this kindly? Pupils were very constricted. Motions were very, there you go. Dorsey looked like crap. Very flat emotion. The hobo look-alike. There you go, Kia. Sinisterly said. Well, that to me, it was more Zuckerberg. But the three of them sitting there like, well, I don't know. Gosh, I don't know. That's not what we do. I mean, absolutely lying, in my opinion, the whole time, not caring that they were lying. And, that's just my opinion. They could have been telling the truth. I couldn't listen to Zuck and Dorky. No, I just turned it off. I couldn't. It's like, come on. Nose ring at his age. Wacko. I know. Cully, wasn't that cute little nose ring? Oh my God. Like Valley Girl. Cruise was awesome. Yes. Yep. Lies. Why didn't their noses grow? Well, maybe they did. We just couldn't see it. Hey, Charlotte Woods. Good to see you. Thank you, Jim Morris, for the link to YouTube. Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz schooled him. Yes, he did. Good morning, Tim. How are you? Yeah, Cruz is really good at schooling people. He has like his, photogenic memory, and he can just come up with stuff. Hey, Teresa. Hey, Aussie Nick. So right after, with Twitter saying that we don't censor anybody. We're just like, we want everybody to have a voice, everybody except conservatives. He didn't say that. I'm just finishing it for him. So tempted to delete my one account. Lee, I tell you, I'm so tempted to get off Twitter and Facebook altogether. Congress should have addressed these issues years ago. You're right, Chicago Pops, they should have, instead of waiting right before the election. And Klobuchar, brought that up. She's like, oh, well, this is just for Donald Trump. I think we need a new president. This is before she'd ask even one question. This was all politicized. This is just the Republicans doing game playing again. So why didn't we talk about this before? I know we've talked with Zuckerberg before, but we haven't talked in this type of thing. They've been censoring people forever. All right. So right after all of this, Twitter went ahead and suspended the U.S. Customs and Border Protection I'm not on either now, and it's liberating, Robin said. Twitter suspended U.S. Customs and Border Protection Commissioner Mark Morgan for posting and celebrating the success of the U.S. southern border wall, keeping violent criminals from reaching American communities. So because he posted that about the work on the southern border, about how great that was, and how we're saving a lot of lives, he got suspended by Twitter. Yeah, the bias is so obvious. And Twin, it's the same thing that the left always does. They're sitting there, they just deny what everybody knows is the truth. And they think that we're dumb enough to go, oh, okay, well, you said it, so therefore it must be true. It's just, I don't know. Some days it's just hard to take. And most days, Mike said, Zuck face. Yeah, I turned Twitter off myself, Sissy said. Yeah, some days I really want to. I really want to turn it all off. I really, really do. I still really like Cloud Hub. If you haven't checked it out, CLOUTHUB. For the most part, they don't censor people. Like if you're trying to put pornography on Cloud Hub, you're going to get censored. Okay. So if you're doing something stupid, you're going to get censored. But if you're just talking, you're not going to get censored. Hey, Barbara, censorship is a tool of socialism and communism. Just look at Castro's Cuba. Exactly. Chicago Pops. Exactly. And okay, so here's what I love this. Let me bring this up on the screen here for those who are on anything and everything except Periscope. Of course, we can't have Periscope can't show you anything on Periscope. All right, so this is what Dan Crenshaw had to say. He said the biggest takeaway from the big tech hearings is, number one, Jack Dorsey is a partisan and a hypocrite. And number two, there are no liberals left in the Democrat Party. Not a single Democrat senior defended free speech or freedom of the press today. This should terrify Americans. And absolutely it should. Each and every day, our freedoms are taken away from us. And a lot of times with people sitting there allowing it to happen and just not saying anything about it. Now I want to get into a little bit of COVID, because I think it's important. We still, what is discouraging, I guess, to me a lot is seeing more and more people buying into the lie that cases of COVID, from all the testing that we continue to do, whether you have symptoms or not, whether you're sick or not, whether whatever, is that cases mean equal infection, and that infection equals death. All of that is not true. Cases don't always equal infection. Pretty much they don't. And infections now, because we have a handle on what's going on, we have therapeutics that work. Look at the president. Infections don't mean you're going to die. Asymptomatic equal a case. I know that's what they want it to be. They want the asymptomatic to mean that everybody's going to be infected and die. The only time that you truly have to worry, if you look at the stats, Robin says common sense, yep, is if you're over 70, you need to be concerned. You need to maybe wear a mask everywhere you go, or stay at home as much as you can. Try to avoid people. But not saying that you even need to do that at 70. That's a conversation that you should have with your doctor, right? And see what your doctor says about what you in particular should do. But if you're not immunocompromised, wearing a mask really isn't helping you. Having healthy people wear masks probably do more harm than good. Now, I know that people are out there. Your doctor won't do a test unless you have symptoms. Well, gosh, I mean, that's common sense too, isn't it, Robin? But people out there would have you believe that if you get COVID, you're going to die. And they're scaring everybody with that information. Hey, Sally. they really are scaring everybody with it. I'm a double risk at 140. Yes, you are, Wayne, but you knew that. so good morning, Paula. Good to see you. Governor Cuomo just signed up to the Cloud Hub. Oh, good Lord. How old are you? Oh my gosh. This is not a question and answer on my age or if I'm female or male or, whatever. The survival rate for those under 70 is now 99%. Yes, Patrick. And see, that's not what they tell you. All they tell you is, oh my God, cases are going up. And we even have France and Germany now because of their increase in cases, not deaths. The deaths are actually going down all over the United States. But because of the increase in cases, they're closing down their countries again for over a month. Met the other day a guy whose 84-year-old mother got over COVID just fine with 2 weeks. Exactly, Ewitty. People are too lazy to get the real truth on COVID. That takes 15 to 20 whole minutes. Okay, so Tim, I agree with you. James said, I social distance before COVID. I work on my immune system and my fitness. Well, James, how crazy thoughts are those? And that's, I'm being sarcastic. That's exactly what you should do all the time for anything. But what I wanted to talk about a little bit was, what people are doing, Americans especially, can't speak for anybody else in certain cultures, are different. But for the most part, Americans like to stick together, right? It's almost like the herd immunity, not herd immunity, but the herd concept. You've heard that. Like horses are herd animals. They stay together in a herd. When one horse in the herd does something, let's say one horse gets spooked, they all get spooked and they all go. They don't think, they just go. Herd mentality. Thank you, Ewitty. And that's kind of what's happening right now. Yep. Barbara said, I know a lot of people had COVID, none died, some very sick, some not. Exactly. So if you look at it like herd mentality and what Americans sometimes are, if you have a group of people that you are a member of, or, you're a member of a church and all of you are kind of together, you're a member, your family, your friends, you tend to want to listen to what is being told to you by those people, because being accepted in that herd, in that group, right, is very important. People want to be accepted, not rejected. So if everybody in your group is saying, you need to wear a mask, or, you have to, and if you don't wear a mask, it means you don't care about me. You don't care about grandma. You want grandma to die. Even if you don't believe it, sometimes people go, oh, maybe I just should be silent, or I'll wear my mask because, I'll just go along to get along and I won't say anything because I don't want to lose my friends. Well, you're going to lose your friends if you want to speak truth. If you don't want to speak truth, then you can stay with your friends all the time, right? And you can just go along to get along. You can be what they sometimes call a lemming and just do what everybody else is doing, because in that way you get to keep your social network. And that is so important to people. Pretty sure I had COVID in the first week of February. It sucked. I was off work for pneumonia at the time. My doctor says now I was probably misdiagnosed, but I'm good now. Exactly, Jim. I think a lot of us did have COVID at one point and probably didn't even know it, some of us. But my point is, Robin said, I went to the store yesterday and only a few people were wearing masks. It's not cool here anymore. For most of the country, west of the Mississippi, it's not cool to not have a mask. People get really excited, and not in a good way. And they look at you as if you are a murderer. Okay. Somehow we need to break that, because why? Yesterday we had Schumer coming out and saying, I think there should be a universal mask mandate. We have Tennessee, where the mayors in Tennessee, especially, mask bullies, are trying to shut down Tennessee basically by having everybody wear a mask, or my gosh, we're just going to have to close everything down. We have people who are like Fauci now is saying, oh, we should stop this going back and forth. Everybody should just be wearing a mask. And he's the one that has gone back and forth. And he's the one, when the camera goes off, doesn't wear a mask. And he's the one that was sitting next to his friend. That people have, people who are mask wearers, right, who have defended, well, he was sitting outside next to his friend. Okay, so if they're a friend, then they're not carrying anything that can hurt you, which is insane, once again. So you've got all of these people who are doing this. Now, why are they doing it? It's obvious. It's obvious. The obvious reason is control and compliance, to get you to go around for the rest of your life wearing a mask, not silencing you. And also it causes you, some doctors have said, to get, bacteria on your face, to even can cause you bronchitis and pneumonia and different things. Boston T said, you tested positive for the Rona. Oh my gosh. Well, how are you doing? I hope you're okay. Well, I think not. It's making a difference. A young tech here touched this so much. Yeah. Well, and so wearing that mask, statistics will show you that when air gets out of that mask, you're breathing it onto other people. And if you're breathing your air out to somebody else, they could possibly catch flu from you. Yeah. You can't, the company rule. Company's not allowing people to take it off. So your common sense, if you would just stop for a minute, get out of the herd mentality and start thinking for yourselves. And I know that doesn't apply to anybody in here, but it could be on somebody listening to replay. Start thinking for yourself. Start doing the research. You will show that the cases are going up because the testing is going up, and they keep pushing testing. They want that testing. They don't have any intentions of ever allowing you to be out of a mask. Even if you get a vaccine, people like Fauci and other people have said, well, you may get a vaccine, but remember, you're going to have to get 2 doses of that vaccine. And during that time, you could be shedding, although they don't like to talk about shedding. You could be shedding, and so you could give it to somebody else. And so you want to keep wearing that mask. Meantime, the cases of flus, gosh, we're almost down to 0. Now, why is that? Said from the start, it's DNA collection. Could be, Lee. Absolutely. People who wear masks long-term daily are starting to develop lung problems. Yeah, Chicago Pops. And that, again, you don't need to be a doctor to understand how reasonable that is. That if you continually block your flow of air and you breathe your own carbon dioxide, plus you put germs in there all day long, something's going to happen that's not COVID. Bigger droplets fall faster to the ground, smaller droplets stay in the air, mass break up the droplets. Yeah, whatever. I don't even know if they do that. I mean, yeah, I guess it could slow it down, supposedly. But most people, when they're wearing a mask, they have it down below their noses anyway. So if you sneeze or you breathe in stuff, you're breathing in stuff. Look, you can't go around. I mean, you can if you choose. I don't choose. You can't go around in a bubble for the rest of your life because you might get a scratch. If you're that afraid, you should stay home. You should bubble wrap everything in your house. Hey, Clara. And basically stay away from everybody, because people, and listen, I'm going to break some news here, right? Breaking news. People carry germs. I don't know if you knew that. People carry germs. You will always, until the end of time, get germs from people. Hate to break it to you. So if you're that afraid, why did the CDC say 80% who wore the mask got corona anyway? Because they do. Sally. I've known folks who have been indoors alone and still get colds. Yes. Yikes. Who knew? I know. Germs are good for our immune system. Shh, Robin, you're not supposed to tell anybody that. You're supposed to live in fear, don't you know? I would have burned my hand. Can I get a virus there quicker? Yeah. I mean, it's because it doesn't work. Exactly. And, you know, the whole idea was to wear a mask to slow possibly the spread. It never said wear a mask and you will stop COVID. That you can't find that anywhere. It isn't even on the CDC's website. It said basically, my little brother was one big germ. He was allegedly sick all the time. Yeah, well, and that happens. Also, avoiding germs reduces immune defenses and only delays the inevitable. Yeah, see, Rocky, what happens when we've all been in quarantine, all the healthy people, right? We've been in quarantine. When you finally get out of quarantine and you go outside, when you've been away from everyone's germs in the world, you're going to get sick. You're going to get sick. So, I mean, it's just, you can't avoid germs. It's just not going to be possible. But I'll tell you what they're doing every day, 24/7, pretty much. The mask is like a petri dish. Sorry, it is developing its own germs. And you'll see them hanging from a car window, right? Or the rearview mirror. What happens when the heat hits the germs in those masks? Talk about a petri dish. I think, it depends on if it gets too hot, maybe it kills the germs. But if it starts to breed them, if it starts to breed, getting a little bit of warmth in there, and they start to breed more germs. My nephew is getting a rash and has to see a dermatologist. See, Claire, and that's the crazy part. If you sit there, yeah, the bubble boy, if you sit there and you are wearing a mask all day and you get bacteria, right? Common sense would tell you, take the mask off, let the bacteria go away and heal itself, right? But your nephew and others probably will go to the doctor, go to the dermatologist, get some medication either to take or put on their face, continue to wear their mask, and continue to have a problem with the bacteria. It's absolute lunacy what we're doing to people. And again, what I was saying, and I've said this before, if I were to tell you, yeah, I know, Clara, and it's crazy. If I were to tell you that the sky is really purple, and I kept telling you this over and over and over, and I told you this in so many different ways, you're going to say, at first you're going to say, Susan, come on, the sky's not purple. That's ridiculous. But if I keep saying it to you, you're going to, at a certain point, you're going to look at the sky and think, could there be some purple there? Am I missing something? Bacteria literally in your face at 98.6 degrees, the airflow in and out through it. Yep, exactly. And if I were to combine that and tell you the sky is purple, and if you see that it's purple, it could possibly kill you, you're going to start avoiding it. You may start going out at night. Well, maybe it is a little purple. Yeah, exactly. And maybe it's like, well, maybe I should stay home because I don't know. Maybe I don't see as well as I used to, and maybe it is purple and I'm just not seeing it. So psychologically, you can do great damage to people by what's happening. We're at the halfway mark. If everybody could go ahead and reshare, we'll move forward. And, there have been tremendous studies, right, done in psychology on this. Don't take my word for it. They've done this for years. For example, if you have 3 people in a room, and I watched this recently too, it reminded me of it. If you have 3 people in a room and the 2 people are actors and the other person is a volunteer and doesn't know that the other 2 people are actors, thinking they're there for a real test, right? So you say to them, which line is longer? Well, it's obvious which line that they've drawn is longer, but the guy over here who's an actor says, A is longer, but it's really, it's C. It's obvious, C. A is longer. And the other guy who's an actor says A. And so the guy's looking like, okay, no, it's C. And maybe says C. Then this keeps going on for a few minutes, right? That each time it's obvious to him which is longer on the lines, but these other two people keep saying something different. And so he's like, well, okay. So after a few minutes, for a variety of reasons, one, maybe fear of being socially not accepted, fear of not, being in the group, fear of, well, maybe I am wrong, starting to doubt yourself. The guy starts conforming and saying the same answers as everybody else. Psychologically, you can damage someone and make them go along with anything if you tell them for long periods of time. How do you think that children and adults are emotionally abused? You tell them something for long enough, they're going to believe it. You tell a child that they're stupid long enough, and after a while, a child with a 130 IQ is going to believe that they're stupid and they're not going to be able to do anything. It's going to be debilitating. Rules for Radicals says, Rocky said. So my point is, all of this is to make you conform with everyone else. And still, when you say that, you'll have Twitter who condemns you for saying it. You'll have Periscope who condemns you for saying the truth. You'll have Facebook who condemns you for saying the truth, because they're all in on it together. Herberto says, wearing a mask all day long, you are going to get sick, causing I don't know what that is. Hypercapnia? I don't know. Keep saying a lie long enough, it becomes truth, Paula said. Play in the dirt, live a long life, Sissy says. Yep. Exactly. Let's see. Exactly. Sees the media using it to cover up what's going on behind the scenes. Well, that, a pleurisy, yes. That and also, Sally, part of the Great Reset, Bonnie said. Yep. Not impressed. It's a mild flu, Boston T said. But it's all for different reasons. It's all for getting compliance. It's, if you're looking at it in time's perspective, it's to have you eventually conform and bow down to the beast at the New World Order. People who garden get older. Yeah, it just happens that way. Witty. And so keep saying a lot. Yeah. And so you have to stay true to what is the truth. And how do you know what is the truth, right? Whenever you start feeling yourself going off the deep end, yeah, nobody talks about the preventive care. Nobody talks about people getting better, Barbara, because they don't want you to think that you can get better. But, turn back to the Bible, turn back to biblical principles and get grounded again. That's what you need to do. And I hate to tell some people that some of your friends and family are going to be falling away. It's going to happen. Whether it's COVID that divides you or what's coming, it's going to happen. You had better prepare yourself. And it's not preparing yourself with talking to people. It's about talking to God and being in the Bible, because the people that you're talking to today may not be the people you're talking to tomorrow. They may have fallen away. You don't know. So you need to be well grounded in what the biblical principles are, what God has told you. God did not give you a spirit of fear. All those things that God tells you, you need to go back to and remember. Or learn them if you've never learned them before, Okay. They're causing fear and stress, which lowers the immune system. Exactly, Noelle. Absolutely, it does. Absolutely, it does. And not only that, does it lower the immune system, but it screws with your mind. Okay. Let me just put it that way. It screws with your mind. Psychologically, it impacts you. And I want to show you something that I saw yesterday, talking about screwing with your mind. And I could think of something else to say, but I won't. I I'm still so angry at this. I can barely talk about it, but I will talk about it because I want you to see this. Let me see if I can find it. All right. This is something that I saw yesterday. And we don't have the sound. You can go back and look at that later. But I want you to see this. This person sitting here on, your left is a doctor. This doctor is dressed up like a clown and she's announcing COVID deaths. For somebody, let's say a younger person listening to this and seeing a clown say that to them, psychologically, you have caused emotional abuse in my mind. You have Holy Spirit spirit. So sorry, got distracted. That was pure evil. Yes. And watching, this clown that's supposed to bring, to children, happy thoughts, balloons, carefree. This clown instead is talking about death and giving out, how many people are going to die today? How many people have died? Oh my God, COVID, this is all. And this is your doctor. This is the public health authority who's dressed up like a clown. Absolutely, Susan, it's truly sickening. And this could cause trauma. This could cause you to have long-term PTSD, in my opinion. And I'm livid. I am livid that and listen, some people said, well, it was part of Halloween and they were just dressed up. Okay, look, I don't care what your reasons are. You don't dress up like a clown or something that's supposed to be positive and go out and, as positive as they can be. I hate clowns too. And go out and tell an audience, okay, gloom and doom. It would have been more appropriate, not really, for her to dress like the Grim Reaper and tell you that. It still would have been inappropriate. But my gosh, to dress as a clown, again, something that's supposed to be in a lot of respects positive, and then go out and tell children you're all going to die is pretty disgusting, in my opinion. And I can't believe that any doctor would go along with that. It makes me livid. Plus, when you're doing something like that, it's an age inappropriate conversation that you're having with young children by having a clown sit there and tell you that people are dying. Makes fun of those who have died. It's disrespectful, right, Barbara? It is. It was wrong on so many levels. I can't even begin to tell you. Gary said, clowns scare me. I know. Would not be a clown in my house. Let me just tell you, I hate clowns. Always have. And that clown sitting there like that woman dressed like a clown sitting there reminds me, because of what they were saying, something that you would see in a Stephen King movie, like It, it's just so horrendously bad. All right. Now, this is what else psychologically this is all doing. Sickening, like these transgender reading to children. I would be horrified, Sally said. Murders in the U.S. cities across the country have jumped, in many cases sharply, following months of protracted COVID-19 lockdowns and shutdowns, as well as sustained domestic unrest fueled by Black Lives Matter and Antifa-led activism. That was abusive and not a doctor's job to scare the children dressed as a clown. I know, Alice. If I lived in Oregon, I would have had to have called in and said something about that. I mean, that was just despicable. All right. The homicide rate in Chicago has reached a 5-year high so far in 2020. So still got time for more. With total murders through almost 10 months already, more than 50% higher than last year's full year total. That spike broke a 4-year downward trend occurring within a larger 2-decade-long dealings of killings. That's because people were working. Donald Trump had Black unemployment to the lowest ever. People had jobs. People had some place to go. They don't have some place to go now. People are, committing suicide. People are scared. People are killing other people because they're back on the streets or looking for, all kinds of reasons. None of them good. This is why you can't close the country down, although they continue. Like in California, we keep going from red to purple, from red to purple. Never any of that is about, dropping the masks and getting back to normal behavior. It's all about, okay, we're going to close down again. Like we can't go to a restaurant now in my county. There's no restaurant that you can go inside and sit down and eat because we're back in purple. Why are we back in purple? Because of a scale that some insane person in government in California, the governor, created to, let's make it equitable for everyone. So we're going to throw in additional stuff so you can make sure you never get out of purple. Or if you do, you're not going to stay out of there long. It's insanity times a million is what it is. Now, police data show that murders in Chicago year to date were 633, which is a 53% spike from the 415 murders recorded at the same time last year. The numbers come in after several years of declining murder rate. So in Chicago alone, it is horrible. I don't see how any business, much less a restaurant, survive their season. They're not surviving, Sally. And that's, honestly, I think that's the goal, because they don't care that people have restaurants that need to serve people. It sure is horrible in my city, Gina said. They don't care. I mean, the restaurants that are open, they're having to set up chairs and stuff outside in hopes of getting some people there, right? They've closed some of the lanes in traffic and made areas where you can put tables there. We know 9 people of various ages and all have only cold symptoms, a few lost taste, smell for a few days, Jules said. Yep. Yesterday, all the tables were gone in the mall. Yeah, very mild, Jules said. No need to stop living. Government owns everything, Sally said. Yeah, they do. And it's set up for most states that your public health officials, the non-elected officials, can basically destroy your city if they want to. They can shut down everything if they want to. They have the power to do that. And that's what they're doing. They're shutting things down. And it's ridiculous. And it's hard to get those people out of office. Let's see. Tim said, also, criminals in Chicago have no fear of the mayor or the governor or anybody else. Yeah, the governor. The evil health department. Yeah. It's ridiculous. And yet, here we are. Talking about power. Anybody here that ballot selfies are illegal in some states? Is it true? I don't know. I know that wearing T-shirts with, like pro-Trump stuff on it or pro any candidate on coming to the polling centers are illegal for some states. Okay. Now also, oh gosh, we passed the time. Nobody told me what time it was. Yeah, DeWine is getting ready to close certain businesses down. He already sent state employees home. Wow. DeWine, Emperor DeWine. Okay, so let's start. I think I left off at Revelation chapter 13. The beast from the sea. No, I actually read that. Okay, let's start at chapter 14. Revelation chapter 14. I know, I didn't know it was so late. The Lamb and the 144,000. Then I looked and behold a Lamb standing on Mount Zion, and with him 44,000 having his Father's name written on their foreheads. Okay, I read that yesterday too, so let me go to chapter 15. Sorry about that. Prelude to the bowl judgments. Then I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them the wrath of God is complete. And I saw something like a sea of glass mingled with fire, and those who had the victory over the beast, over his image and over his mark, and over the number of his name, standing on the sea of glass, having harps of God. They sing the song of Moses, the servant of God, and the song of the Lamb, saying, great and marvelous are your works, Lord God Almighty. Just and true are your ways, O King of the saints, who shall not fear you, O Lord, and glorify your name. For you alone are holy, for all nations shall come and worship before you, for your judgments have been manifested. Hey, greetings from Finland to you, Mila. Hi, Barbara. Good to see you. After these things, I looked, and behold, the temple of the tabernacle of the testimony in heaven was opened, and out of the temple came the seven angels, having the seven plagues, clothed in pure bright linen, and having their chests girded with golden bands. Then one of the four living creatures gave to the seven angels seven golden bowls full of the wrath of God, who lives forever and ever. Trump, Mila. The temple was filled with smoke from the glory of God and from his power, and no one was able to enter the temple till the seven plagues of the seven angels were completed. Chapter 16. Then I heard a loud voice from the temple saying to the seven angels, go and pour out the bowls of the wrath of God on the earth. First bowl, loathsome sores. So the first went and poured out his bowl upon the earth, and a foul and loathsome sore came upon the men who had the mark of the beast and those who worshipped his image. Second bowl, the sea. That's one good reason never take the mark of the beast. Second bowl, the sea turns to blood. Then the second angel poured out his bowl on the sea, and it became blood as of a dead man, and every living creature in the sea died. You're welcome, Mila. Third bowl, the waters turned to blood. Then the third angel poured out his bowl on the rivers and springs of water, and they became blood. And I heard the angel of the waters saying, you are righteous, O Lord, the one who is and who was and who is to be, because you have judged these things. For they have shed the blood of saints and prophets. And you have given them blood to drink, for it is their just due. And I heard another from the altar saying, even so, Lord God Almighty, true and righteous are your judgments. Fourth bowl, men are scorched. Then the fourth angel poured out his bowl on the sun, and power was given to him to scorch men with fire. And men were scorched with great heat, and they blasphemed the name of God who has power over these plagues, and they did not repent and give him glory. Fifth bowl, darkness and pain. Then the fifth angel poured out his bowl on the throne of the beast, and his kingdom became full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongues because of the pain. They blasphemed the God of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and did not repent of their deeds. Sixth bowl, Euphrates dried up. Then the sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up, so that the way of the kings from the east might be prepared. And I saw three unclean spirits like frogs coming out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. It's basically the unholy trinity. For they are spirits of demons performing signs, which go out to the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of that great day of God Almighty. Behold, I am coming as a thief. Blessed is he who watches and keeps his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. And they gathered them together to the place called in Hebrew Armageddon. Seventh bowl, the earth utterly shaken. Then the seventh angel poured out his bowl into the air, and a loud voice came out of the temple of heaven from the throne, saying, it is done. And there were noises and thunderings and lightnings, and there was great earthquake, such a mighty and great earthquake as had not occurred since men were on earth. Now the great city was divided into three parts, and the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon was remembered before God to give her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. Then every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. And great hail from heaven fell upon men, each hailstone about the weight of a talent. Men blasphemed God because of the plague of the hail, since that plague was exceedingly great. Chapter 17, the Scarlet Woman and the Scarlet Beast. Then one of the seven angels who had the seven bowls came and talked with me, saying to me, come, I will show you the judgment of the great harlot who sits on many waters, with whom the kings of the earth committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth were made drunk with the wine of the fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast, which was full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 7 horns. The woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet, and adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls, having in her hand a golden cup full of abominations and the filthiness of her fornication. And on her forehead a name was written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and of the abominations of the earth. I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I marveled with great amazement. The meaning of the woman and the beast. But the angel said to me, let me see what him. Why did you marvel? I will tell you the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carries her, which has the 7 heads and the 10 horns. The beast that you saw was and is not and will ascend out of the bottomless pit and go to perdition. And those who dwell on the earth will marvel, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they see the beast that was and is not and yet is. Here is the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. There are also 7 kings. 5 have fallen, 1 is, and the other has not yet come. And when he comes, he must continue a short time. The beast that was and is not is himself, also the 8th, and is of the 7th, and is going to perdition. The 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings who have received no kingdom as yet, but they receive authority for 1 hour as kings with the beast. These are of one mind, and they will give their power and authority to the beast. These will make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb will overcome them. For he is God, for he is the Lord of lords and King of kings, and those who are with him are called chosen and faithful. I want to have that name, chosen and faithful. Then he said to me, the waters which you saw where the harlots sit are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. And the 10 horns which you saw on the beast, these will hate the harlot, make her desolate and naked, eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. For God has put into their hearts to fulfill his purpose, to be of one mind, and to give their kingdom to the beast until the words of God are fulfilled. And the woman whom you saw is that great city which reigns over the kings of the earth. All right, I guess I'll stop there, and we'll pick up again tomorrow. It feels like Friday always on Thursday. I'm not sure why that is. But anyway, I should say, has anybody been thinking about whether or not you want to give a donation to the ladies organization that was here the other day, youmakeherbrave.com? I don't know if anybody has thought about that yet and wants to donate. What I thought we could do, thank you, Sally. If anybody wants to donate, you can give it to Venmo, my Venmo account. I think it's venmo.com/Susan Knowles. Put on that, earmark it, and say, this is a donation for either the Pregnancy Resource Center or youmakeherbrave.com. Make sure you earmark on there where you want that money to go, so that it's not in any way, there's no mistake that I can make about it at all, right? And there's no confusion about it on anybody's part. So go to venmo.com/Susan Knowles, send your donation. Now, what I intend to do with that money is there's a list of things that they need. I would like to order things like directly from Staples and have Staples deliver it to them. So I have to find a Staples, in their area, and just have it delivered and say, this is from the people who watched you on the show, or the interview that you did on Susan Knowles' show, so that she knows it came directly from us and that we're giving her the love. I would really like to do that. So try, if you will, to get that money in as soon as possible. We can give it to her before Christmas. This is something we can do now in November, because they have needs all along. And, then I can gather everything together. Whatever money we have is going to go towards that. Or if we want it to go towards an Amazon wish list thing, whichever, doesn't matter to me. I just want it to be like delivered to them in the simplest way. And Staples doesn't charge you if you order something over $50 typically. So I was thinking that would be a good thing to do. I'm open to suggestions, whatever, but I just want to make this as, as clear and as clean cut as it can be. Just like when we were doing the VOP, I just want to show everybody what we're doing. Everybody knows exactly what we're doing, knows where the money is going and all that. So there's no question about anything on that. So, if you want to do it, like I said, go ahead and start getting the money in, and we'll start getting that everything over to her as soon as possible. So any questions, anybody with that? Any questions? All right. So, seeing no questions, if you will, please just retweet this for people who are watching this who also may want to donate. Go to youmakeherbrave.com, and that is a pregnancy resource center. Can we post about this on our page? Absolutely, Teresa. Absolutely. I hope you do. I hope you tell the world about this organization, and you can tell them what we're doing here. Yes, Teresa, that would be fine. Blessing, Susan, and everyone have a safe day. Yeah, that venmo.com/Susan Knowles is open for anybody. You can always print that link if you want. Appreciate you, Susan, everyone here. Thank you. And just make sure, like I said, that you just earmark it and you say on there where you want the money to go, either Pregnancy Resource Center or youmakeherbrave.com, so that I know that it's not a donation that you made to me, that it is a donation that you have specifically earmarked for someone else. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. God bless you. Please retweet this and share it through